WWE, the custody of a child will be determined in a match. Oh, I knew he was going to do that.
Hulk Hogan is a jabroni Hollywood blonde, but my boss, Mr. McMahon, is not jabroni. Get a versatile fool.
Put that cigarette out.
Will you stop?
Woo!
Hello, interwebs and audio world. Welcome to another episode of Drunk Wrestling History. I'm your designated host, Adam. With us, as always, is our designated drinkers and wrestling fans with us.
This is Scott.
And this is Eddie. It's Ghetto Blaster time, fool.
And whether this is your first time or however many times that you've been listening to us, first off, thank you for sticking with us and checking out all the episodes that we have so far. Make sure you spread the word about us. Drunk Wrestling History is going to be available on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio. Make sure you also follow on Twitter. Handle is at wrestling_drunk. So, first off, what beverages do we have for this topic?
Okay, so I am drinking a fine Sierra Nevada Oktoberfest.
Awesome.
Sierra Nevada
Awesome.
is a upper Northern California beer. It's known as the world's first microbrewery. Most of their beers fucking suck, to be honest. But the Oktoberfest is pretty strong.
And I am still finishing up Blackened from Metallica, their special bourbon, and the Rickards Red from episode 1, if you recall. I'm still sipping on those.
Canada!
Thank you for that.
Canada!
Diamond Eddie providing lyrics to the show.
So yeah, for Drunk Wrestling History, they've really been rehearsing for this episode.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
it's very well rehearsed. There's definitely a script.
We take this very seriously.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, content-wise, they're covered, but they really, really took the gimmick of the podcast in the rehearsals. It was fantastic.
It's clearly professional.
Working the gimmick, brother.
Oh, yeah. So, what is claimed to be the greatest WrestleMania? We're going with WrestleMania 4, taking place in New Jersey. What kind of impact did that have on the WWF and just all the characters just any habits or what was it?
Habits? What do you
I
mean
don't-
habits?
I'm craving some right now and they're all closed. But
Dude, the fucking
Adam wants a
carne asada-
hamburger.
The carne asada I made wasn't enough for him.
that was
It is not good enough. He needs a burger. The man needs a hamburger.
so.
but-
I'm the designated host. I'm the one that's not drinking, but I could destroy food like there's no one's business.
You could destroy food like you're hung fucking over.
Yeah. At least I have that part covered.
Yeah, that's
Just like how I had a pizza in my hand waiting for you and Carissa to come down so that we could go out for pizza. That's how dedicated.
what? What the fuck? What? The fuck you talking about?
He was saying something like Lombardi's. When you guys were
Exactly.
going to Lombardi's. He had a pizza in his hand when you guys were going to go to Lombardi's.
Is that true?
And then he went and ate
Yeah.
more pizza.
That was fucking awesome.
That's a man who dedicates himself to WrestleMania right there.
Okay, he's the man.
But today we're discussing WrestleMania 4.
We are 4.
WrestleMania 4. Some would argue not the greatest WrestleMania.
Some would argue the greatest WrestleMania.
That would be us.
Right.
That would be us. And
There will be arguing.
there will,
And you know what? Those fools who argue it's not the best WrestleMania, they don't have a fucking podcast.
and
Bitches.
that's exactly right. They could start a podcast called The Greatest WrestleManias, not numbered 4,
They can start a podcast called We Don't Know What the Fuck We're Talking About.
which would be true if they said The Greatest WrestleMania was not number 4.
Exactly.
There are critics who say that the matches were shit. There were too many botches. A lot of the matches during the tournament were predictable.
That's all true, by the way.
I wouldn't argue
To be fair.
with a lick of it. It's all correct.
Yes.
Regardless, I say that this is better than 17. This is better than 18. This is better than 19. Any WrestleMania you want to throw up against it, I will argue that this was the best of all of them. And
better-
why?
You think it's better than 9?
Dude,
Okay.
WrestleMania 15 was better than 9. Thank you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Fuck 9. WrestleMania 4 had so much historical significance to it. It's the first time that the heavyweight title was determined via tournament.
Right.
First time ever.
That's not true. The first time it was determined via tournament was in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil,
Which is also bullshit.
in 1968. No, it's not bullshit.
It's bullshit.
No, Bruno Sammartino went down there and smoked everyone.
Are you sure you aren't just confusing that with Pat Patterson's Intercontinental title win
No, he did that too.
that took place in Rio's? Okay, so apparently Rio de Janeiro was the original fucking host of all of these amazing wrestling shows that never fucking happened. We were just to assume, oh, it happened in Rio fucking de Janeiro. These guys won all these championships there, the Intercontinental, the heavyweight.
That's where these tournaments. It was very unfortunate because they didn't bring any television cameras with them.
It's very aggravating that there were these amazing matches happening that we weren't privy to, that we were not able to view, that never made their way to a Coliseum home video, if you will.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, like I wasn't born in '63.
I was.
Anyway, I know. So you were the one who got fucked. Not
Well,
me.
according to you, I mean, kayfabe, I was born in 63.
Okay, boomer.
You're so relevant. So WrestleMania 4, March 27th, 1988.
Wow.
The draw of this pay-per-view was not only that it was WrestleMania and that it was the fourth WrestleMania, but Adam, what happened ahead of this WrestleMania? Now let's take in mind your wrestling forte is really 2000 to current, but in your words, which you so eloquently described before we started recording and that cracked Eddie and I up, what happened before WrestleMania 4 took place to set up the heavyweight title tournament of this show?
There were circumstances that were established with bribery.
Yes. Bribery, thanks to the $1 Million Man and Twin Hebners and Andre the Giant and Virgil. This is the first show. I didn't get to watch any of the other WrestleManias as they happened, but this one counts as my half because I was able to watch this one at the Oakland Coliseum on closed circuit TV, witnessed my brother cry, really legitimately cry when Strikeforce lost the tag team titles to Demolition. Thank you. Hilarious to this day, but it's my
Okay, there.
first...
You need a tissue.
No, I'm good.
All right.
He also was a Strikeforce fan. That was kind of the backstory of the big draw of WrestleMania, the tournament, and how Ted DiBiase basically had the Hebner twins pull some chicanery, and Hogan dropped the heavyweight title to Andre, who in turn sold it to DiBiase, who in turn had the title lifted from him and put up for grabs in this tournament by Jack Tunney.
Right, but the crazy thing was so you mentioned the Hebner twins.
Yes.
We didn't know there were Hebner twins.
Correct.
We barely knew there was Hebner, right? Because Hebner was like a new referee at the time, right? Like,
Right.
dude, like that might have actually been. It's the first time I remember seeing him.
Morella was the first referee I remember named by name specifically because of WrestleMania 3. Jesse made a big deal about Morella blowing the count. We didn't know he was Gorilla's son at the time, so it was kind of a dig at Gorilla 2. But that was the first time I remember WWE actually referencing a referee by name was Morella, and then now it was Hebner.
Wasn't Danny Davis before that?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
that was
Danny
87.
Davis.
Yeah, but he was crooked as fuck. Like,
Oh no, he was like fucking. He was terrible.
I hated him. He was the worst.
He was, by the way, the only referee who ever wore long sleeves.
Yes,
Right, which
and
was
was
really
a worse
fucking
wrestler than a referee.
He was better at refereeing than he was at wrestling.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah, so he was the first referee.
But he was a character more than he was a referee. Like, he was clearly being built for something.
Yeah, they brought him in to be a wrestler, but they started him off as a referee.
Right,
So,
but that was like more of that was his gimmick.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Right.
Yeah, like
Right.
Morello was really the first one that I knew of because
Right.
they called him out because of the count at WrestleMania 3.
Right, Hebner was there to be a ref.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember this, but Jericho talked about the title change when Andre beat Hogan. And when it went down, it was such a shock to everybody. I remember actually NBC had it on their news that Hogan had lost the title. It was that big of a deal. Again, that's the level that WWF was at in 1988.
Right.
And Jericho actually talked, I don't know if it was in his book or on a podcast, whatever, but the big deal was for him is he actually thought that they had referees go through plastic surgery to look like each other.
Well, that's
because
what
we
they
didn't
said.
know that Hebner was a twin.
Yeah, well, that wasn't just Jericho. That was the story. Like, I think, like, so that was Saturday night. So, like, there was no wrestling till the following Saturday. It was, like, a full fucking week.
Right.
And I believe that, like, Vince or whoever the fuck explained that the referee had plastic, or the dude that Ted DiBiase hired had plastic surgery to look like Earl Hebner because Ted DiBiase...
Which was believable because he had millions of dollars.
No, it's not believable because, I mean, let's be honest. Like, how much would you have to get paid to look like Earl fucking Hebner?
But when you're that age, I'm talking about like being in 1988 as a
I totally
an adolescent or a teenager, whatever you might have been in 88. It was all very believable.
Right.
We weren't wise to the world. Like, we didn't fucking know. Like, DiBiase had millions of dollars. You can make anything happen.
No, yeah, I totally bought into it, right? So that's the thing. Like, I was like, I'm 9 fucking years, or 8. Jericho tweeted today that he's 49 years old. I'm 41. Jericho's 8 years older than me, and he fucking fell for that shit. What a fucking mark.
What? Yeah, if you're listening.
Yeah. Jesus fucking Christ, Jericho.
You didn't fall for any of that.
No, of course I fell for it. I was fucking like 9 years old.
Okay, well, you were like the rest of us because that was the power that wrestling had back then. There was no internet.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know. If there was the internet back then, we would have known about the title change weeks ahead of it happening.
Right.
But that was kind of the magic of the 80s, late
dope.
80s. Yeah, we didn't know. We had no idea what to expect. So when that went down and it happened on primetime TV, Channel 4, NBC, whatever, that was a huge deal.
Dude, and back then they would get like a fucking like 47 rating, which meant like 340 million people were watching it.
Right.
Like, it was crazy. Dude, like, it got better ratings than like Friends.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it
Yeah.
was nuts.
That was the power of the WWF.
Yeah, like Night Court wished they got ratings like that.
Dan Fielding was no Hogan.
Dan Fielding.
Yeah, Dan Fielding. Thank you, Eskimo. Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Waiting on you.
Okay, go ahead.
You good?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like that Saturday night's main event was fucking crazy. So that set up 4.
Yes.
So it was like, okay, so the following Saturday it was like Jack Tunney was like, oh, there's apparently a fucking rule that you can't surrender your title to Ted DiBiase.
Right.
Which was like, really, like, they wrote a rule. Like, at the time I was like, oh yeah, of course. But later on I was like, you fucking had a rule for that? Like, this ever came up?
Which we didn't
Who
know.
the fuck, who thought that was going to happen? That you had to write a rule, you know? But I mean,
Right, and we didn't
Specific
question
to
it.
one person.
yeah, I mean, I guess apparently the WWE's founding fathers predicted this might happen,
Right. Right. The great Vince McMahon Sr.
and good for him.
Yeah.
And as a result, we were left with WrestleMania 4.
Right. So essentially what happened in the match is Hogan, by all accounts, had Andre beat. He had him pinned. There was some referee chicanery that went on. Virgil jumps in the ring. He gets tossed. Andre double headbutts Hogan. Side suplexes him. Hogan actually rolls up his shoulder at 1, and the referee counts 1, 2, 3 on Hogan.
Right.
Shoulders were not down. There was obvious shenanigans going on. Gives Andre the title. Andre then, in turn, hands it to DiBiase, who, I guess, backstage had given Andre money already. So Andre hands the title over to DiBiase. Then the other Hebner comes out. There's all the action in the ring. There's 2 Hebners. What the hell's going on? So you know something's up. And
Right.
that sets the table for WrestleMania 4 and the tournament to determine the new heavyweight champion after Tunney holds up the title.
Right, well, that was also where Hogan beat the fuck out of referee Earl Hebner and threw him out of the ring.
Like a lawn dart. Just
Which is
chucked
crazy
him.
because, that was crazy because, Hogan was Hogan was the biggest baby face
Yes.
of all time, right? But he worked like a fucking heel.
He did.
What kind of baby face like that beats up a referee, right? John Cena never beat up a referee, right? Hogan would run a motherfucker's eyes across the rope, right?
Rake a back.
Rake a back. Run his laces across the guy's face.
Right. And God forbid you get him outside the ring. Hogan would tear you up.
Hogan will put you outside the ring and fuck you up.
Throw you into
You know what I mean?
the post.
Yeah.
Whatever
he
it took.
Dude, slam you onto the fucking announce table. Dude, the first time I ever saw a dude go through a table was Hogan and Harley.
Harley, yes.
It was Harley dove onto Hogan and Hogan moved and Harley was intestines were ruptured.
Messed up. Yeah. Abdomen injury.
Yeah,
yep.
but Hogan was a motherfucker, dude.
He was. He really was. You're right. For a face.
Yeah, he didn't do any moves. He could punch you in the fucking face.
Yeah, exactly.
know?
When he turned heel in '96, it was it's kind of always been there.
He didn't have to change the way he worked.
Yeah, exactly.
It was great.
He was still Hogan. Yeah.
Yeah.
He just changed his colors to black and white instead
Yeah,
of
it
red
was
and yellow.
okay, I want to dress in black and fucking do dick promos. But I'm just gonna punch your fucking face.
Yeah, I'm still gonna rake your eyes and your back. I'm gonna throw you outside the ring. I'm gonna mess you up.
Yeah,
still the same Hogan.
It was amazing.
Right. No, it totally was. It totally was. But WrestleMania 4 was incredible for me, not only being able to be there and watch it live on closed circuit,
Jealous.
Well, thank you. Again, you've been to way more WrestleManias than I have, so that's kind of that and '96 are the 2 I vote for you. But that tournament for me was the pinnacle of 80s wrestling because you really didn't know going into 4 who was going to win.
Right.
By all accounts, Hogan was the clear expected winner out of that
Yes.
thing. You fully expected Hogan to beat Andre in the second round and just march all the way to the final.
Yes.
And you didn't know who he was going to beat to get there. It was just a foregone conclusion that the belt was going to go back to Hogan. After all the shenanigans that happened with the dual referees, the title being sold, it was a foregone conclusion that Hogan was going to win that match. Some of the other matches on the card, there was a Battle Royal. There was a tag team title match. There was an intercontinental match. There was a match between the Ultimate Warrior and Hercules. Ultimate Warrior's first WrestleMania appearance.
Right.
And then there was also the 6-man match between the Islanders and Bobby Heenan versus the British Bulldogs and Coco Beware.
Right.
So,
I think we should start with the Battle Royal.
your favorite.
That's my favorite Battle Royal of all time. And part of it is because, first of all, there were just hella full. One of the great things about 4 is everybody who was a big deal in the 80s was on that show.
Yes.
And many of them were in the tournament, but the rest of them were in the Battle Royal.
The roster was so bloated. I liked the way that they were able to find a spot for everybody between the tournament, and then they're like, you know what, let's just have a Battle Royal where we can just throw everybody else in there to get them a payday.
Right, and that wasn't the first WrestleMania Battle Royal. It was the second one because 2 had one.
Correct.
But 2 had all the fucking football dudes.
Yes,
So
it
this
was
is
celebrity driven, right?
Yeah, so this was the first Battle Royal I think I ever saw.
Okay.
Right? I think I became familiar with Battle Royals through this show. And it was fucking great. And one of my favorite things about it was I was a big George the Animal fan, obviously.
Yeah, who wasn't?
Yeah. That motherfucker didn't get in the ring.
No.
He hit outside, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And then he got in way, way, way late and then just got fucking tossed or something.
Which is funny because Jimmy Hart did something similar years earlier and was a total heel because of it.
Okay.
He hit underneath the ring, and then towards the end he came back in. I think he might have won that thing.
Right.
But it was a total heel because of it. George Steele does the same thing several years later.
And fails.
And gets cheered. Yes, not only failed, but got cheered for it.
Yeah.
Wait, double standard.
Right. Yeah. So the Battle Royal ended. There were everybody. The Killer Bees were in the fucking thing, right?
Yeah, the Young Stallions.
The Young Stallions.
Hillbilly Jim, the Bolsheviks.
Oh, that was Hillbilly's last WrestleMania match. Oh yeah, the Bolsheviks.
Yep.
But the greatest part about it was the finish was Brett and Bad News, right?
Yes, Bad News Brown was in the Battle Royal.
And it was like a weird thing because like suddenly I forget who they tossed out last. It might have been like
Junkyard Dog.
Oh, I was going to say Jim Brunzell. Okay, so they tossed out Dog.
So you're fully expecting when you see those final three, you're like, okay, Junkyard Dog's going to knock one out.
Right.
And then he's going to knock the other one out, and JYD's going to win this thing. But that's not how it went down.
No, so it ends up being Brett and Bad News in the ring.
Yes.
And they suddenly like celebrate like they're like co-winners. And you're like, oh, okay, like that's kind of a shitty ending.
Yeah.
They're winning together or whatever the fuck. And then boom, out of nowhere, it's Ghetto Blaster time, fool. Right? He fucks Brett up. Right? He hits him with the fucking Ghetto Blaster and tosses him, right?
Yeah,
so
tosses him
Bad
like
News
a
won.
piece of trash out of the ring. Bad
Right?
News wins.
Yeah. So Bad News wins, but then Brett fucking comes back in and like, was this one? Were the Hart Foundation baby faces going into this?
No,
This
this
is when
this
they turned.
turn.
They turned babyface when Brett got fucked over by Bad News. Right?
Correct. That was the turn for the Hart Foundation that had nothing to do with Jim the Anvil.
Neidhart wasn't even
Yeah,
there.
he might not have even been on board with this at all. He's like, nah, I don't want to be a face. Like,
Right.
I like being a heel.
It was complete nonsense.
Yes.
So here's the great thing about the show, is a lot of people don't realize this, but Bret Hart was jobbed out not once, but twice. First to Bad News Brown.
Yes.
Second to the fucking trophy, because he tried to beat the trophy up, and the trophy won. He threw the trophy out of the fucking ring, and I think that the dude fell off the top of it, but it didn't break, and then he goes outside the ring and he starts stomping the fucking thing, and the trophy's not breaking.
It was the most durable trophy ever.
Right. The trophy is made of fucking
Titanium.
Adamantium or some shit.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Captain America's shield.
Right.
Has nothing on that.
Yeah, this big fucking guy can't fuck the trophy up.
Right.
And he's like, he gives the trophy a Garvin stomp, and the trophy isn't selling it.
Right.
And it's like the most pathetic thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Do it.
I loved it. I don't know what else to say about it. It was amazing.
Next to Macho Man, the trophy was the strongest thing to come out of WrestleMania 4.
Yes. Right. Yeah. The trophy went over, brother.
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah.
did. Tag team title match. That was Strikeforce versus Demolition with
Strikeforce
Mr. Fuji in their
Demolition.
corner.
Yes.
Were you a particular Strikeforce fan back in the day, or
Love the Strike Force. Oh, I was.
you did
Dude, I was all about Strike Force, not about Demolition.
at all?
No, I was not into Demolition. I didn't really like Demolition until I started listening to King Diamond.
Okay.
And then I was like, dude, Strike Force or Demolition paint their faces like King Diamond. They're fucking awesome.
So that's what made you
That
a
was
Demolition
it.
fan.
That's it, and that's all.
But you were unfamiliar with the Road Warriors / Legion of Doom happening over in NWA WCW.
No, I was aware of them because I was like, I saw, because I used to see WCW like at like friends' houses. I saw when they stabbed Dusty's fucking eye
Yes.
with the spike.
Yes.
That was the coolest thing I ever saw.
Which is, I believe, what got Dusty fired, because it was
I think
his
so.
call to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very rude.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was as a child, like I was just mortified.
Right. Yeah, so I totally saw that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So but in your mind, were Legion of Doom / Road Warriors Demolition ripoffs, or were Demolition
hell
Road
yeah.
Warriors ripoffs?
No. When Legion of Doom showed up, I was like, psh, Demolition are way cooler than you motherfuckers. Yeah.
So you were a Demolition guy.
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay. But that was later. At WrestleMania 4, you were a Strikeforce guy.
Love Strike Force.
Okay. Were you surprised by the ending, or did you see Demolition coming out of that match with the tag team titles?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's a tough call. Yeah, maybe. I mean, because like Demolition were no fucking joke.
No, Demolition were badasses.
Yeah.
Demolition were definitely badasses.
Was that the fucking match where Fuji like got the cane? Fuji was doing something. Fuji hit Rick Martel with the cane, right?
No, he actually was getting the shit beat out of him by Tito Santana, and then dropped the cane in the ring. Axe picked it up, hit Rick Martel in the back with it.
Right.
Smash
so Martel
covered.
So Martel got hit over the head with the fucking cane, right?
Yes.
And he was out for an entire year.
Yes,
Or like
back injury.
Or like 11 months for a cane head shot.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So check it out. So the next fucking match after that, and this is one of those things where you're like, who booked this shit? The next fucking match
Was the title match. The ending of the tournament.
No. The match after that was Gang versus, I think, Macho Man. And that was the one where Gang tried to fucking stab Macho Man with Slick's cane.
So this is the argument against 4.
So it was 2 fucking matches in a row with the fucking cane finish.
Yes.
It was like, what the hell?
So, Adam, have you seen WrestleMania 4 at all?
I have not.
You have not. Okay, so the ending of the tag team match, as Ed said, is Tito Santana grabs Mr. Fuji, who's up on the apron, and punches him, and Mr. Fuji drops the cane in the ring. Axe, who's on the outside, runs in, picks up the cane, and hits Rick Martel, who has Smash in a Boston Crab, hits him in the back of the neck with the cane. Smash covers Rick Martel. Referee comes over and makes the 3 count. The funny part about all of this is that Tito Santana runs up and hits Mr. Fuji to cause Mr. Fuji to drop the cane. All of the stuff, meaning Axe grabbing the cane, Axe using the cane on Rick Martel, Smash covering Rick Martel, the referee coming over to make a 3 count. All of this is happening while Tito Santana is over in the corner, mercifully or unmercifully beating the crap out of Mr. Fuji, like nonstop, like not even turning around to see his tag team partner getting pinned. Just cannot stop kicking the shit out of Mr. Fuji. If you watch the end of the match, it's hilarious. There is no reason for it. Like, Mr. Fuji did not have that much of a role in the match to where Tito Santana is just like
Committed.
Unmercifully beating the shit out of Mr. Fuji in the corner. It's hilarious. Hilarious. Once that went down, I was like, dude, Strikeforce deserves to lose the titles tonight. It was one of the weirdest finishes. Like, the tag team partner's just not paying attention and just cannot stop beating on the manager. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was totally absurd. Like, Tito Santana's a babyface, and he's like beating the fuck out of a dude.
And like, you knew Mr. Fuji at the time was an older dude. And like,
yeah,
Tito Santana's like unmercifully beating the shit out of him in the corner.
Yeah.
Like, dude, knock it off. Like, your tag team partner's getting pinned, and he can't stop punching Fuji and ramming his head into the canvas.
He's killing him.
He was killing him. Yes. Like Undertaker versus Flair at 18. Just killing him.
That was what Chow yelled.
Right. He was killing him.
We'll get to that at a later podcast.
18 will be a later podcast. Yes.
Chow will be here.
Yes. Chow will discuss his memories of.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a fucking crazy ass match, dude. Like, that shit was nuts.
It was. The Intercontinental title match on the card, Brutus Beefcake versus the Honky Tonky Man.
Honky Tonk Man.
Well, if you ask Santino Marella,
Honky.
it's the Honky Tonky Man.
Yeah, the honkometer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Didn't even come close to beating that record.
Right. So Honky Tonk wrestled Brutus Beefcake.
Yes.
Who in the 80s was my second favorite wrestler after Hogan.
He was tremendous in the 80s.
He was awesome.
Yeah, he had a great gimmick. An absolutely fantastic gimmick.
Yeah, his gimmick was that he cut hair when he wasn't at work.
Yeah, that was his side hustle. It was cutting people's hair.
Bringing in that blue collar audience.
Exactly. So the outcome of that one, it ended in a disqualification because I think Honky hit the ref.
That was where Brutus like molested Jimmy Hart too, right?
And then cut his hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy Hart got it horrible at that show.
Right.
Yes. I mean, kept the Intercontinental Champion in his family.
Yes.
But was touched inappropriately into the ring and then had his hair cut.
That was one of those things.
That's a
where
bad
I was
night.
Like, yeah. It was one of those things like there was that one time. Remember when like Honky or Jimmy Hart went under the ring and like Warrior got him
and took his pants off?
Yeah. That was one of those things where I was like,
that was an 80s thing.
Right. It was like the 80s, and I was like, Jimmy Hart's on the ring and Warrior's on the ring with him. I'm like, I don't even know what gay means, but I think this is gay. Like, it was really fucking weird.
Well, there were no cameras under the ring.
Right.
But yeah, taking a manager's pants off was like a thing in the 80s. People
Right.
loved it.
Yeah.
JYD, I think, did it to Jimmy Hart on numerous occasions. There was a tuxedo match between, was it Mean Gene and Mr. Fuji?
No, it was Harvey Whippleman and...
Well, in addition to that one, that was later on. I'm talking about in the 80s, it was on like a VHS One of the
tape.
Coliseum, one of those. It was like most unusual matches or something. There was like a tuxedo match.
Oh, yeah.
It might have actually been Howard Finkel against Mr. Fuji. It was something like, or Mr.
Yeah.
Fuji versus Mean Gene Okerlund, something like that. But like taking off managers' clothes was a big deal in the 80s.
I believe we should bring back matches where you take off managers' clothes, and it should be Selena Vega should be a manager.
Yes.
And it should be Andrade with Selena Vega, and it should be like, I don't know, like Damian Priest with maybe I don't know.
Cassius Ohno.
Cassius Ohno.
Okay.
Yes. I would
Okay.
like it if Cassius I would like to see Cassius Ohno take his pants off. Yeah. Although, I mean, I don't. No, we shouldn't say that because I don't want to get him fired. You know what I mean? You see some rice pudding thighs, like. Yeah. He's been in trouble before for this.
He can always try the blow-away diet.
Well, we're going to get to that on an episode or 2 of 5 Jive.
Oh,
kids.
yeah. You're right. Does it actually blow away pounds or is it just cocaine? We don't know. We'll get into that on the 205 Jive.
Yep.
We don't know.
Yep.
So, an interesting fact, and I didn't know this until a couple of years ago, but Honky Tonk Man was accompanied to the ring by Jimmy Hart and Peggy Sue.
And Peggy Sue, I know where you're going with this. Peggy Sue was actually played by the great Sensational Sherry.
Yes, she
right?
was. I didn't know that until a few years ago, and
Yeah.
now that I'm going back and watching it again,
You can't not see it, right?
exactly.
You're like, it's fucking Sherry with glasses and a wig.
It's totally Sherry with glasses and a wig.
Yeah.
Like the way she's screaming at ringside,
Yeah.
it's very clear who it is.
Oh,
yes.
Sean!
She has a very distinct voice when she's screaming at ringside. It's very clearly her now that you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
But back then, I had no idea who Peggy
She loves
Sue.
Honky. She thinks he's cute.
Yeah. And she
knows
thinks
he's
he's sexy.
Yeah,
So-
that was great.
We also had the 6-man event, which was the British Bulldogs and Coco Beware.
Okay.
With their animals,
Yes.
Frankie and Matilda.
Right.
Against the Islanders, who had previously kidnapped Matilda and had done unspeakable things to her.
And whose animal was the weasel?
Right. And they had Bobby Heenan in their corner.
Right, but that thing with fucking... Okay, so that's one of my really, really early wrestling memories, too. is when
Matilda
they
being kidnapped?
Yeah, they kidnapped Matilda, and they were like, oh, send postcards to Matilda. And I was like, oh my God, dude, I got to get a postcard to Matilda.
Yes.
And I, like, totally sent a postcard to Matilda. And, like,
That's the sweetest thing you've ever said.
right, and I'm like 9 years old. I think Matilda can fucking read.
No, the Bulldogs read to her.
Or, like, I think Matilda has, like, a mailbox or something like that. No, the Bulldogs couldn't read to her because she was, like, kidnapped. Like, she, you know what I mean? She wasn't with the Bulldogs. So I was just assuming that Matilda could figure out what the fuck. And by the way, I can't even read my own handwriting. Somehow I figured if, like, a dog could read my handwriting. But I did write a letter to Matilda.
So,
The fucking bitch didn't write back.
really?
Yeah.
Well, that's rude. One thing I didn't notice about that match until rewatching it is they actually set up a stand for Matilda in the corner. Do you remember this?
Yeah,
It was
like
actually a
little-
platform.
Right, like kind of like at like apron level,
Yes.
right outside the ring post, right?
Which they never did.
Yes.
Before that match, they had never done that for Matilda. She had always...
Matilda's very important.
She was a big deal at that show. She was like quite a draw.
Yeah,
She was bigger than the Bolsheviks.
I was there to see Matilda. I wasn't there to see Hogan.
Right. Or Macho Man for that reason. I wanted to make sure Matilda was okay.
Yes.
If you want to ever see animal mistreatment in a WWE match, maybe go back and watch that one. Specifically the end when Davey Boy Smith is like hauling Matilda out from the apron to the floor, just like jerks her off of there, doesn't pick her up and place her down. Dude, bulldogs are very compact. They have big bodies and little tiny, like T-Rexes, like little tiny legs.
Right.
He pulls Matilda's leash and she's on the apron and yanks her to the outside. She lands on the mat. Number one, that's not good for her legs.
Right.
Number two, proceeds to make her chase Bobby Heenan in his dog catcher outfit
Right.
down the aisle, and then proceeds to put her on top of Bobby Heenan, like trying to make it look like she's biting him.
Right. She's killing him.
She's killing him. She's eating his flesh.
Right.
Like, it just bad.
And Bobby Heenan sold the fuck out of that.
Yes, he
Dude,
did.
when I was like 10 years old, I was scared to death of bulldogs because I saw what the fuck that dog did to Bobby Heenan.
Right.
She fucked that man up.
Right. If he didn't have the dog catcher suit on, he would have been torn to shreds.
Yes, and by the way, I think we should bring up what Jesse the Body said about Bobby Heenan, the dog catcher suit.
So we got to remember that this took place in 1988.
Yes.
During commentary. Now, the commentary team is Jesse and Gorilla, one of the finest of all time.
Yes.
Can only be trumped by the Brain and the Gorilla.
Right.
Jesse Ventura says to Gorilla Monsoon, Gorilla, Bobby kind of looks like a Chinaman. Again, those are Jesse the Body's words, not mine. But it does go to show that made air on a pay-per-view in 1988.
It's like my grandpa was on commentary.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But 88 was a different time. You could do that stuff back then. 2019, that's a huge no-no.
Right.
But
right.
in 88, hey, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, that guy became governor like 10 years later.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So that match happens, but really the draw of the show was the heavyweight title tournament.
Right.
It had never happened before from what I had ever seen in wrestling. Again, I was late 84, 85. Had never seen a tournament for the heavyweight title, and that was the biggest prize in wrestling, bar none. And it was really up in the air, and when you looked at the brackets, my big hope, for me, the best match of all time is Ricky Steamboat versus the Macho Man at WrestleMania 3. You disagree with that, and I get it. But
I would disagree. I'm just like...
What's not your favorite of all time?
Right.
So I was hoping that they would get a rematch of 3 at WrestleMania 4. And the way the brackets laid out, that could have happened. But unfortunately, Greg Valentine beat Ricky Steamboat in the first round. So that match, or the rematch with Macho Man, never happened. That would have been amazing to me to have those guys.
Do you think that they intentionally didn't have that match?
Absolutely, because they wanted to keep it face versus heel the entire tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that the buys were very interesting. Hogan and Andre both getting buys, and then as the card goes on, DiBiase gets the late round buy. One Man Gang gets the buy, which we thought was huge at the time. When that happened,
Dude, I thought Gang was going to win.
That's what I was like, oh shit, like this is Gang's tournament now. Like they're going to run with a big man as the champion.
Yeah, this big motherfucker's got it.
Yeah, like I thought for sure. But really, like once the dust settled and it came down to DiBiase versus Macho Man in the final, the Hogan-Andre match was fine for what it was, but let's be honest, like Andre in 1988 was not Andre from even like 1987 at WrestleMania 3. It was not the same Andre the Giant. He was quickly declining in health.
Yes.
You could tell the way he was lumbering around that ring, and Hogan was really taking care of him.
Yeah.
It was not the same Andre. So that match to me wasn't anywhere near what their WrestleMania 3 match is. To be perfectly honest with the card, its placement, it didn't need to be. But once it hit Macho Man and DiBiase in the final, you could kind of see the writing on the wall and where this thing was going, especially with Macho Man getting the rub from the Mega Powers. You could really see where this thing was going.
Yeah.
So do you have like any memories of... Did you watch this card live?
No, I didn't watch it live. I'm pretty sure I knew I'm pretty sure I knew Macho won. I got the magazine with Macho on the cover with the title.
Okay.
And I want to say that was like the June '88 issue or something like that. I still have it. I got 2 copies of it. One, the cover fell off. I still have it. The other one, I do have the cover. I think that's the first issue of the magazine I ever bought.
Okay.
I bought it in Pismo Beach. We used to go there every year for vacation when I was a kid.
Okay.
I don't think. No, I definitely didn't watch it live. I think the first WrestleMania I watched live was like fucking 7.
Oh wow!
Because like I said a couple episodes ago, I didn't have cable.
Okay, gotcha.
So I'm pretty sure I knew who won, but I didn't see it until I could get it from the video store. Because we used to go up to the video store up at Greenhouse.
2 VHS set.
It was the 2 VHS set, and I remember like seeing it where it was like the 2 VHS set that folded out like
yes,
the book.
gatefold, yep.
And like Hogan and Andre like folded out of it.
Yes.
It was like that wasn't even the fucking main event.
Yeah.
But they still like advertised it that way.
Yes.
And they folded out of it, and I saw it at Kmart, and I wanted to get it, and like my grandma wouldn't buy it for me. So
Probably like $100.
No, it was like $20. So
not
my
bad.
grandma
Damn.
wouldn't buy it for me, so instead I rented it like 15 fucking times for like $3. You know, Like, fuck you, dude.
I'm gonna make you pay twice.
Exactly. So I used to rent it like probably 2 or 3 times a year because it was like always my favorite. It was definitely the first one I watched when it was, because I don't think there even was a video store after 3. You know, so I think that was the first WrestleMania I saw that was like, it wasn't exactly current, but it was like the most recent one.
Okay.
So it was like probably May when I saw it.
Okay.
And I knew what had happened, but I still watched it and I still fucking loved it.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, it was so cool. It was great because it was like you were saying, like, there were at least like 5 guys who conceivably can win the title.
Right.
I mean, it was like a lot of big shots in it. You know, it was a great show. Like,
All the bigger names for sure.
Yeah, it was a great fucking show, and I love that it was a 4-round tournament in one night.
Yes.
And the only other time that I remember it happening, and we definitely have to get to this on an episode, was
The Wrestling Classic.
no, fuck the Wrestling Classic. No, Survivor Series Deadly Game 1998. Right?
Okay, yes.
That was like my favorite pay-per-view of the 90s for the same reason. Like, it was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
And unpredictable.
exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, 98. Oh my god, that shit was crazy. Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, 4 was always my favorite. It always will be my favorite. It's definitely not the one with the best matches. Probably the one with the best matches is like. Shit.
Well, there's a lot of arguments. People say 17.
Yeah, I say 19.
19 was excellent.
And I fucking love 31.
Yeah. And I don't argue against people that knock 4. I really don't. Like, that's fine. If you want to get technical on it, sure. It's not your favorite for whatever reason, but it's my favorite because of what it was at the time.
Right. The matches at 4 don't hold up now.
No.
At all.
No, especially Warrior and Hercules. Awful.
Oh my god.
Awful.
Oh my god.
Not good.
Yeah. No, not even close.
No.
But it, for what it is, it's fucking fantastic.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep, I do too. And you can knock the one-man gang trying to hit Macho Man with a cane. You can knock Macho Man beating Greg Valentine with a small package. Yes, there were botches from start to finish. We didn't get Macho Man versus Steamboat like we should have. But overall, in my mind, you can't overlook how big it was for Macho Man to win that title in the fashion that he did.
Yes.
And to close out that show with Elizabeth on his shoulder holding the heavyweight title. They created such an iconic moment for their brand that for me is reason enough to make it my favorite WrestleMania of all time. That moment for Macho Man was amazing.
You know what, dude? Macho Man with Liz on his shoulder with the world title might be the most iconic, like, snapshot. You know, like,
I agree.
there's that super famous picture of them.
Yes.
Like, that might be actually, like, the most famous, like, iconic thing for me.
Right.
Of all time. Like,
Right.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, you cut Hogan out of it. And then I think that really led into, you mentioned WrestleMania 7.
Yes.
During the Warrior and Macho Man match at the end where Elizabeth comes in, fucks
Yeah.
up shop, and it's now Macho Man and Elizabeth all over again. That was a nice little bow to put onto their story from 4 to 7 because it all went downhill after 4 for Hogan and Savage. Like, we all know how the Mega Powers exploded. They had the match at 5.
Right.
And then here comes Elizabeth again at WrestleMania 7 to reunite with Savage.
I heard you cried when that happened.
I'm not going to deny getting a little emotional when it went down. But you know what? I'm not the only one.
Yes.
I'm not the I actually
No.
watched that with a few guys, and one of them was in the same shape as I was.
Right, and that chick with the giant red hair and the blue fucking jacket.
Peg
also
Bundy?
cried. No. Go back and watch it. You'll see what
Oh,
I'm talking about.
then I'll know who you're talking about.
She
Okay.
was like one of the original super marks. You know?
Oh, next to Vlad.
She was like a Vlad's generation, yes.
Next to neon green shirt guy.
Right. No. Way before him.
Way before him.
Yeah, please. Way before him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, but that, amongst other reasons, that's why you and I argue. And yes, nostalgia, it does provide you with rose-colored glasses.
Right.
But at the same time, that iconic moment captured at the end of the show with Savage having Liz on his shoulders, holding the heavyweight title, crop Hogan out of that picture. It created such an iconic moment for the brand. It's something I remember very vividly. And as a fan in 1988, it didn't get much bigger than that. Like, that was the torch being passed to Macho Man, like, you're our guy now. And that was a huge deal because all of wrestling, when I became a wrestling fan, Hogan was the guy.
Yeah.
And now in 1988, you were being told it's not Hogan anymore. This is your new guy. Macho Man is your guy moving forward. And that's where I was already a Macho Man fan, but that took it to the next level. I was like, well, shit, Macho's the dude now. Like, Macho's not the dude to mess with. Like, he's the guy. And that cemented his legacy in my mind, was WrestleMania 4. Hence, my favorite WrestleMania ever.
Totally. The best one.
So despite the bottles on the table, there is unity among us.
There is unity among us. And Adam, I will say, I know that WrestleMania 4 is not in your wheelhouse, but if I was going to recommend you go back and watch a WrestleMania, not necessarily for the matches. If you were going to do the matches, I would say watch 19, 17, as we've mentioned.
But definitely for all the circumstances that you've stated going into it. I mean,
High stakes.
oh yeah.
It really was.
Definitely.
High stakes, for sure. And the bribery and the chicanery that you mentioned earlier, it made it a very interesting WrestleMania because from start to finish, you didn't know what was going to happen. And I like that they sprinkled matches in between the rounds. It kind of built the suspense. And the other cool part during the show, and we didn't really get into this, you can hear part of it on our celebrity episode, but Bob Uecker looking for Vanna White in between segments.
I don't think we talked about that on our celebrity episode.
We did mention Bob Uecker, and we did mention Vanna White, and we even mentioned Bob Uecker mentioning Vance White.
Some guy called Vance White.
Yeah, sending letters. Yeah.
No, it's intriguing. It's something I definitely want to check out now.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. And you're not going to be blown away. Like, you watch wrestling now, and it's definitely match quality a lot of times. But when you watch 4, there's a lot of botches. There's a lot of like, well, why did that happen? Like, specifically One Man Gang trying to repeatedly hit Macho Man with a cane as Macho Man continues to barrel roll around the ring, continues to miss. It's like, that was dumb. But overall, the suspense of not knowing who was going to win, you couldn't top that in 1988. Like, there were so many big names in the tournament. It was totally up in there who was going to win. And that was, for me, as a teenager, that was the most incredible part about WrestleMania, was wondering who's actually going to come out of this with the big prize, the heavyweight title. It was incredible.
it makes sense because, like, I understand the impact of Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania, just
Hulk Hogan.
his high stakes, and then suddenly just flipping all of that around.
Yeah.
I mean, just watching that tournament, I would feel intrigued, and I would definitely feel some suspense of, like, how's every single individual adventure going towards that goal of winning the heavyweight title? How is that going to turn out?
Totally.
Yeah, and when he was eliminated with Andre, which, by the way, that match wasn't super great either, because at the end of it, technically, Hogan hits Andre first with the chair.
Yes.
Meaning Hogan should have been
Hogan should have been
disqualified, and
disqualified.
Andre should have gone on in the tournament. But instead, Andre grabs the chair after being hit and hits Hogan with it. And then they said, okay, both guys hit each other with the chair. They're both disqualified. But technically, Hogan struck
Bullshit.
first. Yes. Hogan was Greedo in this situation. He shot first. So Andre should have won by
Dude,
disqualification.
no. Hogan is never Greedo.
Hogan was kind of Greedo.
No, just fuck Greedo, dude.
I'm sorry.
Don't ever compare.
Sorry, don't hit me.
Thank you.
Okay. So even aside from that, but once that huge shadow that Hogan
Greedo.
cast over the tournament, once that shadow was removed, that's really where the suspense built. Okay, whose tournament is this? And then DiBiase got the bye, One Man Gang got the bye, and it really opened it up like, man, I don't know who's going to win this thing. And it was absolutely incredible. If you want match quality, 4's not for you. If you want suspense, 4 is absolutely for you. If you want match quality, go 17-19.
Yeah.
I wanna check that out.
Yeah, if you want great booking. You know what I mean? It was very,
Yes.
very, very well booked.
Yes, it made sense.
Yeah.
At the end of it, when you look at it from start to finish, everything about that card makes sense. The decision to keep the title on Honky to eventually lose it to the Ultimate Warrior, correct decision. Putting the tag team titles on Demolition because Martel was injured, 100% the right decision. And moving forward with Macho Man as your heavyweight champion, 100% the right decision.
Also, it didn't have that dumbass AEW thing where, like, if you win this match, you get a bye to the second round of the tag team tournament, where it was like, Wait,
You
What
just
do you-
did the same thing.
yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? If you win this match, you get a bye to the second round. It was like, that's a first round match.
That's a first round win,
Yeah.
and you moved on to the second round.
fucking
Congratulations.
dummies. Like-
but we could pretend you got a bye.
Yeah, like if you win this match, you get a bye to the second round. I was like, no, that's a first round match.
Maybe they're confused with bye.
AEW is
fucking
young
losers.
and they just learned what a tournament is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, dude, I love AEW. Fuck.
And look, at the end of the day, we're not going to be discussing AEW too much, but WWF/WWE has always proved that if anything, they're better when they have some competition.
Well, if AEW does well, they'll have some fucking history, and then we will talk about it.
Well,
Because this is drunk wrestling history.
Thank you.
Absolutely is.
And with that, I think we should sign off, and we should move on
To a piss break.
to. I do have-
Well said.
Yes, very much so.
yeah.
So, pretty much, as I'm going to be doing, definitely check out WrestleMania 4. I mean, it's very intriguing. I want to see. It's like in improv. It's a French braid, all with a communal goal, but different adventures leading up to that one point. I definitely want to check that out. And to all of you that haven't seen it, I hope you enjoy the same thing as I will. So. Again, just make sure that you spread the word on Drunk Wrestling History. On Twitter, we are at wrestling_drunk. Podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, and iHeartRadio. And just want to remind you all, no matter where you are in the world, please enjoy your buzz and watch wrestling responsibly. Gentlemen, 1, 2, 3, cheers.
Cheers.
L'chaim. We'll see you next time.
I knew this one girl who really liked wrestling. Yo, we should body slam, she would always text me. She says she likes it hardcore. Baseball bats and barbed wire, thumbtacks that are on fire. Yo, I think something ain't right. Threw me through a table last night. She don't know it ain't real life. You should see her home movies. They're pretty tight. I'm in awe and it's awesome. She's like dope, it's a problem. Yeah, she a funny hoe. She's always laughing. And a middle finger always flashing. I was like, girl, you so stone cold. You Steve Austin, steel cage match in Madison Square Garden. Ding ding, we're just getting started. Let's get ready to rumble. I can take some bumps, man. I can take some tumbles. But she thinks that every night is like...
All right. What was that, episode 2 or 3?
3.